Hello and welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint Show. I am your host, Jay Jones. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint was created specifically to educate and inspire Black entrepreneurs to launch, build, and grow successful businesses. Join us as we help build an economic power base in the Black community by promoting business ownership. If you are currently an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur, we invite you to join us every week here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint, episode number 378. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and today we have another outstanding and informative show in store for you. Today we're going to be talking with Mr. Fred Hawthorne. Fred went from being unemployed to homeless to becoming a real estate millionaire by parlaying his unemployment check of $440 a week into a real estate empire. Now, most people would think, hey, that's enough, right? But Fred is also an Emmy-nominated picture editor, a filmmaker, and a host of Barbershop Conversations, a YouTube channel where Fred discusses boxing, current events, and also interviews people. Now, I've been doing this for over 7 years now, and I've interviewed a lot of people, but I must say today is a special interview because Fred really pulls the curtain back and he shares his personal journey, the highs and the lows, the ups and the downs, and he talks about several things that a lot of entrepreneurs usually don't talk about. He talks about his relationships, he talks about his struggles, and he talks about what it took to move from point A to point B. So really lock in for this interview. But before we get to today's interview, I just want to share a few things with the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family. First and foremost, I want to welcome all first-time listeners to Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Welcome to the BEB family. Please stick around until the end of today's broadcast, and I'm going to share all my social media contact information and my resource links, such as the link to my new book, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. Also, 2 platforms I created to help circulate those dollars, BeSmartByBlack.com and HireBlackFreelancers.com. Also, I wanted to remind you guys about my new rebranded, rebooted BEB Academy. In the Academy, I have content, trainings, courses, masterclasses, and all types of resources that will help you launch, build, and grow a successful business. So it doesn't matter if you're a prospective entrepreneur or an experienced entrepreneur. We have content and resources inside the Academy to help you move your business forward. Now, the best part is you can get 5 days free access to everything in the Academy by going to bebacademy.com. bebacademy.com. Now, let's get ready for today's show in our interview with Mr. Fred Hawthorne. We are live with my man, Fred Hawthorne. I don't know where to start with all the things that you do, brother Fred, but I met him through Barbershop Conversations, a great platform where Fred talks about everything in the barbershop, boxing, sports, current events. And so for the Black Entrepreneur Blueprint family members that aren't familiar with you, brother Fred, just give us a little bit about your personal background, then we're going to jump into your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, thank you. So, born and raised in Harlem, drugs and alcohol separated my family. We moved to California, did it the Orthodox way, good athlete, college, graduated, and all that, became an educator and was a hell of an educator, award-winning educator, every newspaper came to my classroom. And in my 7th year, they said, you're laid off. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So like you said, so it's like we discussed prior to us starting, not only did I had to make lemonade, I had to plant my own lemon tree, and I started from the bottom, man. I turned $1,600, 14, whatever it is. I get $440 a week is what I got from unemployment. And obviously I can't live off of that for eternity. And it has a deadline. And so I created this training business. I was training and teaching at the same time, but now I really had to focus on training. So I was balancing that duality of pocketing my training money and being resourceful with my unemployment check. And that has led into a great deal of entrepreneurial opportunities, you know, where 14 years later, you know.
Cool. Let me ask you, bro. So when you were in education, were you in California teaching, or were you in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Between
California.
West Covina and Duarte. West Covina, California, and Duarte, California.
Let's jump into your entrepreneurial journey. So as I mentioned before we actually started recording, I'm a big boxing fan. So Fred has Barbershop Conversations, which is a YouTube channel, and he talks about boxing, but he also talks about current events and other things. And so can you give me the impetus of where Barbershop Conversations came from?
I knew boxing was the caveat to a bigger conversation. So I didn't want to change. I didn't want to call it Fred's Barbershop. Fred's Boxing Channel. Gotcha. And I was like, you know, boxing is bigger than just what's going on Saturday night. And so is my life. Right. So the only sanctuary I can visualize throughout my childhood and in my younger adult is the barbershop. So I says, this was my church. This was my sanctuary. This is where I got multiple dosages of masculinity and what it's like to feel the bravado of a man. And I says, Barbershop Conversations. And that's what we do every night, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have a great conversation. And not only do we heal, we grow, we fight, we curse, you know, and it's no censor. So you can actually disagree with me and curse me out on the show. And the show keeps going. Like, I don't believe in censorship. You know, I believe every man should own his word and be accountable to it. So I don't say, hey, you can't say that. She can't say that. Say how you feel, poke your chest out, and we'll move forward from there. So Barbershop Conversation is very much a safe place for men, you know, and I love it, man. It's building great communities, man. So.
Yeah, well, I'm part of that community, bro. So I try to tune in as much as I can, man. How long have you had Barbershop Conversations? When did you start it?
Well, the show, I would say 2 years, but really honing in COVID, you know, because I had a cheat code where I went to boxing events every Saturday.
Right.
So I had it built in. So it was all built in for me, you know. And then I realized because there was some conflict with me and boxing and the establishment of boxing. Right. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to focus on me. That $1,500 to $2,000 I spent on every trip going to boxing events. Right. I said, you know what? I'm going to build that in there, in my house. And so we expanded. So I would say going hard for about 4 years, but going my hardest this last year.
Gotcha. Nah, that makes a lot of sense, man. It's funny, you know, all the BEB family members, they know they've been listening to my show for any length of time, and I'm a super serious boxing fan since my dad got me hooked. When I was real young. And so off the air, we got definitely talk some boxing, man. A couple good fights that came on this past weekend. We'll chop that up a little later. But let me ask you now, was Barbershop Conversations your first foray into entrepreneurship after you left?
No, simultaneously to teaching, I was a trainer. So I was a personal trainer, get in shape trainer. Okay. And I was fortunate enough to have some high profile clients. Okay. And I turned that money into property. And now I own a bunch of property here in Los Angeles. I funded not every film, but I would say about 75% of my own films I funded. And I've done a lot of small things. I've done some what do you call it? Angel wishing. I don't know what the exact term is called.
Angel investing or
angel investing. I've done a lot of that. You know, I'm just a firm believer in entrepreneurship. I'm a firm believer in own where you sleep, play, live, and have fun, you know? So that's where I'm at. And now it's literally afforded me to basically be a stay-at-home dad, and take care of my kids. Like I take my son to school, I pick him up, and we have great conversations in the car, and you know what I mean? And the fact that I'm always there means a lot to me.
Present.
It's not about the money at this point. It's definitely about the quality of time that I spend with my son and my daughter.
Yeah, see, that's a blessing, man. So, when I started on my entrepreneurial journey 20 plus years ago after leaving corporate, one of the things that I always looked for was freedom and flexibility. And so I started playing around with e-commerce probably around 2014, 2015, kind of simultaneously when I started the podcast. And I was able to create a couple of product brands that really hit. And one of the things that I tell people about having passive income, nothing's totally passive, but I said it's the freedom and flexibility. So I tell the story about my daughters are 25 and 22 now, but when they were in high school, they played field hockey and other sports like all through high school. And I used to get the question all the time. They'd ask my kids, like, does your dad work? I'm like, yeah, dad works, but I have passive income. I've created that. And one of the blessings, and you touched on it, bro, was being able with my daughter's field hockey teams. I never missed a home game, an away game, a summer league, a scrimmage, or anything for 3 years straight. And that's something that you can't get back. So when you talk about being present, man, that's so powerful. So I tell people, I said, to me, obviously money is a tool, but that's more important to me than the money. It's being present and having an example for your kids to see that dad is there. Now, I grew up in a broken home, right? So my pop left when I was 7. My mom raised me and all that good stuff. And I always wanted to be a better dad than my dad was, because when they broke up, it was like he broke up with me and my brother and sister too, even though we reconnected later on, man. So I want you to talk to the power of being present real quick, man. What does that mean to you for your kids?
Yeah, the power of being present is there's no like frictions of energy. So for example, I don't have to de-escalate someone else's life standard. So he's not going from school to basketball practice to tutor to home. He's going from dad takes son to school, dad picks son up from school, dad is present at tutor, dad is present at basketball practice, dad is present at dinner. You understand what I'm saying? So being present is knowing that you're forever giving and receiving. When you're not present, you're not physically giving and or receiving. And I see it in my son, because I see how I'm cognizant of every new word he says. You understand? I'm like, where did you learn that word? Oh, you're playing with your friends at school, whereas I'm gone for 4 or 5 days and I get back and we're just having dinner at 6 o'clock and I got to go to bed because I'm exhausted from going from, and I don't have to do that. And the fact that I'm present, my presence alleviates 80% of the issues. I was 80% of the issues I get in front of because I'm here. Ain't no man gonna overthrow another man, right? Like knowing that he is a man in that child's life, and that's a beautiful thing when I see another man with their kids, because I know the obstacles that a man has to go to. You got to generate income. You got to protect your family. You got to create you're forever thinking about generational wealth. You're forever thinking about your legacy. You're forever thinking about 100 years from now. 100 years from now, my son is going to be 80 something years old. I'm going to be gone. What is that? What is the tie?
Right.
What is connecting all of this? And the fact that I'm able to massage and need that every day into my son and in my daughter is something that I'm grateful that I made the sacrifices for in my 20s and my 30s. And my son he obviously can't articulate it because he doesn't know a life without his father.
Right.
But when he has a child,
Yeah.
and he'll fully grasp the significance of dad was always there,
being present. Right. And it's funny because some of the ties that we can leave, some of the negative ones are poverty, you know, being not there and things like that. So it's so important for us to be there as much as we can. And I understand, you know, a lot of the BEB family members are trying to make that transition from employee to entrepreneur, and they have to do what they got to do. And I get it. Been there, done that. Worked in corporate after I got out of college, went into entrepreneurship. That didn't work the first time, came back, and then went back out. And 20 plus, I never been back. God willing, don't plan to. And it's funny, man, because when you finally figure it out, and you finally have the income to sustain yourself and your family, it's like, man, I can't even explain it. And so I talked on one of my episodes about, and I want you to speak to this too, living in your genius. And I consider your genius the intersection of your passion and your talent. And most people don't know how to monetize that. And what I try to get through to the BEB family is that's the penultimate. When you can do that and you're not working. So I know barbershop conversations, it's work, but it probably doesn't feel like work to you, does it?
Not 1%.
Yeah.
1%. Nothing in my life seems like work. I like,
right.
I've had an alarm clock in God since 2006, you know?
That's what's up.
I haven't been forced to go anywhere since 2006, you know, 2007. So I know the significance of it. And I hope that people really, really grasp what you're elaborating to them, and what you're allocating your time to is generating interest and ultimately a physical sacrifice to be in a position of a stay-at-home dad or stay-at-home mom, knowing that you're generating income and or generational wealth that will be here for perpetuity. And and when you make that decision, own it. Exactly. You understand? Because people are going to say, why, when? People are so enamored with status.
Right. Yep.
You know, and once you get over its status, materialism, sexism, and what I mean by sexism, like since I'm talking to a man, once you fully understand that sex is just sex, if you don't love that woman,
that's it.
You understand? It's it really doesn't do nothing for your ego. After you have that one conversation with your best friend,
right?
I mean, it's a great conversation now. Don't get me wrong now, but after that conversation,
right, it's
you and your friends are forever talking about how can we spend more time together and how can we create more money for our families and ultimately for us to hang out and go on vacations together and have a great time. Right. You know, so I think it's just a beautiful thing when people make that sacrifice, and own that sacrifice, you know, and knowing that is forever, it's forever evolving and growing. You understand? There's no set number to how many oranges are on the tree. The tree don't say, hey, we doing 100 oranges in the spring and we're going to do 200 in the summertime. No, don't think. Forever water your tree. Forever water it. Forever, because you never ever know who's gonna want an orange.
That's right.
You know, and when you have an expository amount of oranges, then you've just inspired some more people to come to you. And guess what they're gonna say? Man, I got my orange from Jay. I got my orange from Fred. Oh, these are the best oranges in the world. And next thing you know, you got oranges in Miami. You got oranges in Prague, you got oranges in New York, and it's just forever. So own it and believe in it. And your downfalls is so you can know that there's a higher being connecting you. Like people forget when you fall, don't forget to look up. You understand? Like when you look up, knowing that your energy comes from a higher source. Don't think as fall as looking down. Like, you know what I mean? It's an opportunity to be introspective, you know, it's an opportunity to be spiritual perspective, you know, and once we get this and own it, sheesh, man, it's powerful, because what we're fighting for real in our community is systemic stuff that's meant to oppress us. For example, I was having a conversation yesterday with a man, and I had an aha moment, and He said, Diddy sells alcohol, right? And I said, poison.
Mm-hmm.
He sells poison. That's not by accident.
Right.
50 Cent sells poison.
Right.
Rick Ross sells poison.
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z sells poison. You get what I'm saying?
I get it, fam.
That's what we're up against. And then let's go a step further. You and I are a cornball because we don't spend Taco Tuesday trying to look up women's skirts, right? We
Exactly.
we stay home, we go to practice, and if we have an extra few minutes, we gonna spend extra few time, but that's a secondary motion. But here's the catch: the drug dealer. This is the programming that's going on. Why fatherhood and manhood and masculinity is so important. The drug dealer will get more praise for giving away turkeys than you and your podcast. So what are we on at this point? You get what I'm saying? So I think we got to continuously be consistent and don't ever stop watering your tree. You understand? Stop counting the oranges. Count how many people pick an orange. You get what I'm saying?
I feel you. One of the things, man, that you kind of hit on with the oranges and water and everything is you're really talking about building assets, right? You're building assets and continuing to build assets. And I talk about this all the time. Right. So those assets may not bring you revenues or anything right away, but that's why you have to keep watering them, right? So when I started this podcast, I tell the BEB family, the first 30 days, only 176 downloads. 6.5 years later, it's like, it's crazy. But it's because I kept watering it. I want to speak to you about, and it's kind of tied into watering. Yeah. You said that you had to take the $440 you made a week, right? Along with your training business. And I'm going to bring up the word parlay because that's what you did. You parlayed that into what you have now. Yeah. Tell me about the mindset. And did you always have that in mind that you were going to be able to parlay whatever you had into something larger and continue, as you said, to water those things?
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I've never put a cap on my life, I've never ever thought that to have a ceiling on my introspective thoughts, mm-hmm. like when I ran a marathon, my next thought is, can I do the Baker to Vegas run? You get what I'm saying? Like, I've never thought like, oh, this is the pinnacle.
Growth mindset.
Yeah. Now life is now I just exist now. Right. I done ran a marathon. I done did this. I done raised my kids, Nah, it's not just that. It just keeps on elevating and elevating and elevating. So I knew I had to parlay, and I never saw anything as a failure or a success. I just knew that it was progress. I've never been afraid to bet my last dollar. I've never been afraid to take great risks, and the one thing I did when I had to borrow money on my parlays is I always paid Peter back, always paid Paul back, and I've never deviated from the plan. It's easy to deviate from the plan. And I kept the main thing. If the main thing was growing my training business, mm-hmm. and I needed advertising, well, I ate 69-cent beans. I remember the Cuban beans from Trader Joe's. I remember it vividly. I would have 5 cans of beans in my car, and I would just eat them at car temperature, whatever that is, I kept the main thing. I never deviated from that. I never put a car before my goals, although I had cars, but I knew I never put it before. So, and that's the one of the more important parlays that I think that I've made is I kept the main thing, even on days where I wasn't successful. Mm-hmm. I always knew that the sun is coming up tomorrow. I got oxygen in my lungs, we're going to parlay on Tuesday, Yeah.
That's powerful, bro. And I want the BEB family, I want the light bulb to go off on that right there. Keep the main thing. When a lot of times we talk about multiple streams of income, which is great, You got to get one thing going first before you start jumping around and trying to do 10 different things, because if you're not going to be able to do 10 different things well.
Right.
Hey, family, I just want to take 60 seconds to share some information about a recent partnership that I've entered into. If you're a longtime listener of the podcast, you guys know I always talk about accumulating assets, and I wanted to share a new investment opportunity in an old asset class. On several episodes, I talked about being first to the party. Many times when we get into different businesses and investments, we're always the last ones to get in. That's why this is so important. So by the time you hear about exciting new investments, it feels like Wall Street has already beaten you to the punch. Crypto, you really want to buy it at $50,000? SPOCs, 74% are now trading below their IPO prices. But there's a new investment that's just starting to pick up steam. And in a crazy twist, it's one of the oldest asset classes in history, but it's finally breaking out into the open. Here's a spoiler alert, guys. It's art. Yes, art. Art has always been seen as a plaything of the ultra wealthy, like yachts and fifth homes, but it's done much, much more than just act as something pretty to look at. It's been making many of the rich even richer this whole time. How much, you ask? Contemporary art prices more than double the S&P returns from 1995 to 2020. And thanks to a recently enacted law, this prestigious asset class is finally available to everyday investors. Masterworks is the first platform to bring art from artists like BASQUIAT, BANKSY, and MONET to the portfolios of everyday investors. They've got more than 200,000 members and demand keeps exploding. Naturally, the wait list is long, but luckily I've partnered with Masterworks to get 183 passes to jump to the front of the line. To secure your spot at the front, go to masterworks.io/BEB. That's masterworks.io/BEB and take advantage of the 183 slots we have available. And I'll see you at the front of the line. Something that you said earlier, man, I don't know if it was recorded before we started recording or not, but you talked about the things that you're doing. You got all kinds of things going on right now. Movies, you've written books.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I have written books.
Yeah, right. I did research, bro.
Yeah, thank you.
But what I love about this is, like, man, you're a man in my own heart, because you're working on projects and things that have an importance to you. And the only way you get to do that is being able to control your own income and not have to worry about, oh man, I got to go to work today and I'm not going to be able to work on my movie because the boss said that I have to be here at this 9 a.m. meeting. Man, yeah. And so when you get to this point of what I call living in your genius, and the only thing you're working on and focusing on are things that are important to you, man, speak to the, I say it all the time. They tired of hearing me say it. Speak to the BEB family about living in your genius. What does that feel like, bro?
Man, let me tell y'all something, man. I'm getting emotional about it because, oh, man.
Don't start crying on me now.
Reason why. The reason
I'm messing with you, fam.
No, because it took years to get to this point.
Exactly. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Take your time, bro. Take your time, fam.
When you put it in those terms, right?
Yeah.
Damn, people just don't understand the sacrifices you make.
Come on, man. Talk to me, brother. Yeah,
homeless, man. I was homeless, man, to literally funding the film that I've been wanting to do for at least 10 years, man. You know? And it takes money. It takes time. It takes self-belief. And the reason why.
Sorry, we hear what you do. Take your time. Take your time, man.
The reason why is because this is the purest I've ever been in my life.
Man, great word.
You know?
Great word. Great word.
I've been God-like these past 6 months. You understand what I'm saying?
I know
exactly. God is proud of me. I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm a godlike man right now. And it's been a beautiful journey, and I know the machine that I'm up against.
Right.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and people are gonna say, well, you just tell a Malcolm X side of the story. And it's truthful. It's honest. I've traveled across the country. I've had hundreds of conversations, done countless interviews, and so on and so forth. And yes, I believe Malcolm would say, well done, my good and faithful son, and whatever title he would give me. But moreover than that, I'm doing something I literally believe in. Don't care about the return on it. I don't care how much money it makes. I don't care how many awards it gets. I know I am curating the truth for people that care about true history. And
Nine Wives is the name of the movie, right?
Nine Wives is the name of the film. It's extraordinary. Everything I've done is extraordinary. I'm not going to kid in and say this is some B-rated project. It's not.
Right.
But the fact that I went from homeless as a college graduate to being laid off.
Right.
Now at 43 years old, worth millions of dollars, and able to say, I'm going to allocate 6 months of my life, knowing I have income over here coming in, and I can literally pivot to the right and totally focus. Have ISO. When I say, look, I'm going to tell you how ISO focused I was on this project. Every time my phone rang, you know what my daughter said? Is that Malcolm X calling?
That's, you was focused, bro.
Yeah, so because the point is, I literally have I have Malcolm playing on my Bluetooth.
Right.
I have Malcolm playing on YouTube. And I'm reading books. I'm coordinating interviews. So every conversation I have in the house is about, hey, can we do this interview on Malcolm or Elijah Muhammad or the Nation of Islam? And so I've these past 6 months has been extraordinary for me, man. Like,
amazing,
you know, and I'm grateful for it. I'm truly grateful for it. And first week of August, it should be done. I'm literally handing the project over to the editor today, and I'm saying there's a lot in between your purpose and where you are right now. And we mentioned it before, whatever your vices are, whether it's marijuana, alcohol, drugs, women, materialism, religion, all you got to do is say no.
That's it.
And yes to your purpose. It's really that simple. Say no here and yes there, and watch everything evolve. Don't you know, I had a 15-person team for this project. No one canceled. Everyone showed up on time. I mean, it's just extraordinary. I know I am in my divine space right now. I have no fucking doubt that I am in my divine space right now. You know, and Malcolm's gonna be proud. And they say the truth shall set you free. And 9 Wives coming first week of August. It should be here, man.
All right, bro. Let me know, man. So we definitely gonna do some promo on that.
Thank you, dog. Thank you.
Check it out. Well, that's what I tell people, man. My platform isn't for me. It's for everybody that's on the show. It's for the family. So, man, I just want to say thank you, because I appreciate your openness and your honesty when you're talking about that. And I know exactly how you feel, because I've been living in my genius, man. Almost lost it all twice.
Man,
big
people don't know that, man, because people don't. I'm telling you, if there was Instagram when I was going through this, y'all would know. You would have known, because I would have told you. I just lost $100,000. Damn it, man.
I know,
I would have told you. I would have told you, dog. But it wasn't. So that part of my life isn't documented. But man, like you just said, man, I've almost lost it so many times, man. So many times.
And having that wherewithal to be able to come back. And I think one of the reasons that a lot of people don't get to that space,
because
they're not willing to risk it. But you know, without risk, there's no reward. So I always used to say this about my boy Floyd Mayweather, not Pretty Boy Floyd, Money May. Money May was like, sometimes I don't know if he was daring to be great. He was strategic with his moves.
Very strategic.
Yeah, you gotta dare to be great. And like you said, hey, it's all a learning process. So if you're not ready to fail, and I get it, if you have a family and you may not be able to stretch out as far as somebody else, or your spouse or partner, you got to make sure that they're on board with that. And that's something I want to touch on real quick too. When you were going through this, were you married at the time?
Yeah, in 2010. But we've been best friends since 1997.
Oh,
we've
damn.
been best friends since 1997. So, we grew through this,
That's what's up.
And she's a doctor now, and she never doubted what the potential of this would be.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's powerful, bro.
Yeah, and went to college together. We both got our BA. She got a BS because she's a doctor, and I got a BA.
Right.
But never wavered. Never. It's just astounding, man. When I was the breadwinner, when she was in med school in 2007, 2008, and then obviously I'm on unemployment now at this time, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm not sure where she was, and maybe she was her first year of being a doctor. So, being a doctor, you're definitely making well into the six figures in your first year of being a doctor. So there was a transition period and all this, and now it's beautiful because in addition to being more oranges on a tree, our relationship has evolved, into an honest relationship, into a trustworthy relationship. And like these past 6 months, dog, I've been so focused these past 6 months. I know it don't, I'm not sure if it comes off to that on my Instagram or on my show, but I've been locked in. And that's the same man in 2007 that says, hey, I'm going to be a million. I don't know how. I've never seen $1 million. I seen $1 million chain. I seen $1 million rap video. I seen that, but I knew it was going to happen, you know? And as we said earlier, keep the main thing. Yes.
Yep.
But never relinquish that self-belief. Don't ever relinquish that self-belief, because they're going to throw some negative titles on you. You a sellout, you a scumbag, oh, you this, you're a Republican, or if you got Republican friends, you're a Democrat. I'm like, man, they just throw titles on you, and but stick to what makes you forget that you're breathing. What I mean? That's your passion. Like, you wake up, it's like, oh, I ain't even eat. I ain't ate in 18 hours.
You in it. Right?
You in it, man. And now we have 2 beautiful kids, and
it's a blessing.
Man, it's beautiful, I'm
gonna let the cat out the bag, but I'm working on a live episode, man, and I'm gonna invite you. I don't know I know your schedule's crazy.
We're gonna make it happen.
All right. I want to invite you, and I'm gonna have spouses of entrepreneurs, because that dynamic right there, bro, if you don't have the right spouse or partner, and you just talk about distractions, people in your ear, and I did a show a couple years ago that how you could turn a bum into a Superman, right? So if I'm busting my hump all day in my business, I'm not making money yet, but I'm working hard, and I come home and I got to hear all of this, you ain't doing this, blah, blah. That really doesn't help what the whole objective is. But if you come home and somebody says, man, I believe in you, I love you, I know you're going to be able to do it, you can turn a bum will run through this wall right here. It's because, and so I think a lot of times people get caught up with the dynamics of entrepreneurship, and especially if you're a man, right? And you're not holding or towing your load or whatever. There's all types of, subliminal things that people may say or whatever. Oh man, this cat's staying home. He ain't making no money. He's not taking care of his family. When you're trying to do something bigger, that you see, but nobody else has that vision. That vision was given to you, just like your vision. You know, you're blessed to have a partner, man, that was tapped in with you. Was like, yo, you gonna do this. And so many people out here, men and women entrepreneurs, that their spouse or partners are like, yo, you living a pipe dream. And I want to let y'all know now who listening, you're not helping.
Right.
You may think you helping, but if they're really serious, you're not helping. So I'm gonna have a dialogue with entrepreneurs and their spouses, and we're gonna do a live session. So I'll keep you posted on that, man, because I love for you and your spouse to definitely be a part of that.
She won't come on though. She won't come on.
Well, sorry, you can tell the story.
Okay, yeah, I can tell the story. Yeah. You know, she's a real private person because she's the head of pediatrics. You know.
Oh yeah.
And I'm very like controversial. Like, you get what I'm saying? So,
we ain't even gonna talk about that on the show.
You know what I mean? Like she like, man, nah, I'm gonna play the background. I'm gonna play the background. You do what you do. You know what I mean? We go.
Man, we'll put a mask and an auto tune on her, man. Don't worry about it.
And before we move on, I want to say this too, because you mentioned about having partners, having spouses, having best friends, having husbands, having wives.
Yeah.
You can add language to the vows that you've made. You get what I'm saying? Don't think like, listen,
right.
You can add language to it. Don't just think that's the rubric for our relationship. You get what I'm saying? Like, you can add things like there are going to be points in a relationship where one makes more than the other. One loses their job. You know, one gains 75 pounds and becomes unattractive. Right. Or one got to take a job that requires them to be gone for 6 months. Or I don't know what it is, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, because it's very important that the relationship grows.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And stop falling in line with, well, I know this crop can grow in any season. No, it can't. No, it can't. Nah, I don't think many crops grow in the wintertime. You get what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to add language to it. You know, it's important that you have conversations and be articulate.
Yeah.
Can you pick up the slack here? Because I'm going to take a risk on this business. I'm going to de-escalate this time next year. I don't plan on having this job.
Right.
Okay, now we got the plan in place. Add language to it. It's so important. That's it's so important, man. And don't become old in your brain. You know, like the brain is forever functioning, you know, so.
Definitely. That makes a whole lot of sense, man. Because one of the things that when we were going through premarital counseling before my wife and I got married, and it's something I'll never forget, her pastor was saying, and it's true in business and it's true in marriage, it's true in life in general, expectations will make or break any relationship. So if you're expecting me to do this, this, and this, and I tell you I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I don't, there's going to be repercussions to that. But I like what you said. You can add language to it.
Add language to it.
Yeah, because it's fluid. Every relationship is fluid.
Man. It's so fluid.
In nature.
So fluid.
Man, I want to get real quick, because I know we don't have too much more time. I want to get real quick. I want to ask you about barbershop conversations real quick, man. In terms of your monetization, how do you monetize that, man? Is it just through YouTube, or do you have other sponsors, or how does that work?
I'm working on getting sponsorship as we speak. But currently it's through like the commercials and actual personal donations from people. People actually donate, you know, whether it's through Super Chat, whether it's through Cash App, or just making donations, man. I actually had someone donate $2,000 to me one time. And I'm like, what? I'm like, huh? What is this? He says, man, you have no idea, you know, like, and I just took it and said, thank you, you know? So I am seeking sponsorship now. I mean, the monetization is good. It always can be better.
Right.
You know, you always can make more money.
Most definitely.
You know? And don't let religion or people shame you for expanding and growing. Like, oh, you think you too good. No, I'm betting on myself. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You know what I mean? You quit after the first hand of blackjack. I didn't, you know? Exactly. So I'm going to start that now. I'm building a website. you know, my web designer got pregnant, and so you know how that goes. She's 1 month into being a new
Oh, wow.
mother, and
Yeah,
so so we're working through that process,
cool.
and so hopefully I have the website by the end of the year.
Nah, that's good, man. That's good.
And it's supposed to be out this month, last month,
Right.
but I genuinely care about her, and she's doing a phenomenal job. Her and her spouse is doing phenomenal things, so I'm patiently waiting on her to come back around so we can
Start.
get started.
Cool. Man, so in terms of all of your different projects and entities that you have, where do you think the majority of the money comes from? Your real estate holdings, or okay. And do you do residential, commercial, mixed use, all of the above?
Uh, Residential, you know,
Mhm.
commercial is coming. Uh, Residential right now, residential is great. Uh,
Mhm.
you know, I strongly suggest that people find a way to have that, because I mean, it's not necessarily, it's growing every day. Equity, you're
Right.
getting equity every single day, man. You know,
Right.
and like people say, "Oh man, I don't want to deal with that problem." Yeah, there are bad days, but it's not 40 hours a week. It's not. It's not. I'm not going by a building a day. I'm
Right.
not.
Right.
I'm chilling. You know, so uh,
Are
it's
most of your properties in the LA area, or have you expanded? Okay.
LA, LA, Inglewood, and you know,
Gotcha.
mostly, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, man, because I mean, properties out there, you
Sky
know,
high. Yeah, sky high.
yeah, it's funny. I was looking at getting a condo out in LA, and which I was going to Airbnb and use it to, and I'm like, damn, man, 1,200 square feet, what, 1.5, what? I'm like, man, I'm like, oh man, it's crazy. So yeah, it's a different animal, but um, the cash flow opportunity, positive cash flow. Do you Airbnb any of your stuff, or is it all okay?
No, for the most part, you know, what I mean, uh, no, I'm not going
Okay,
to Airbnb.
gotcha.
Nah, because it's a daily grind.
Right,
It's a daily grind. The money's good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the money isn't great, but
right.
you know, everything is icing on the cake at this point for me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not being vain or anything like that, but you
Mhm.
know, I'm not in the stance of taking away my time,
Gotcha.
you know, right now
For
for
that.
that. I did that already. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I did that in my 30s and my 20s. So
All right.
now, I mean, I could, because we got football team out here now, so I can
Yeah.
charge $500 a night, you
Right.
know, for a space, but I got to clean it.
Right.
And you know, I mean, you got to vet them. You got to, nah, I'm cool. And then, you
Mhm.
know, then you got to, if something happens, you got to wait 30, 60 days for the insurance to kick in, and it's going to
Gotcha.
happen, because if they
Right.
go into a football game, they're drunk.
Right.
You know, that's the
Exactly.
population you're dealing with, and they don't own the space. They're never coming back to that space again.
Right.
I'm good. You know.
Yeah. Now I feel you on that, man. In terms of your real estate, when you started out, man, did you have any mentors, or you just,
Yeah.
oh, you did?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Speak,
Shout out to my mentor, DMAC and
speak,
Derek.
speak to me about the importance of mentors, man, in business and
Woo, man.
entrepreneurship and real estate.
Woo, man. 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 I'm gonna chop this up and send it to him, dog. Make sure you please send me this link.
Most definitely, bro.
And just priceless, man. Priceless, man. I'm just gonna tell you about him really, really quick. He's from Detroit and came to LA at 17, 18 years old,
Hmm.
and got into property. But prior to property, you know, he did the street thing for a little bit, you know, and he flipped it into properties, and he was in college, dropped out of college, and he would be considered a lower level educated person,
Hmm.
uh, but he's wise beyond his years
Right.
in terms of the decision he made at 18, 19 years old, you know,
Hmm.
and he has amassed well into the eight figures
Right.
of millions, you know, and that eight starts with a two. You know, he's well worth over $20 million.
Hmm.
And imagine going to LACC, dropping out of LACC, and 30 years later, worth over $20 million.
That's nice, bro.
It's powerful. And now you have me, I'm worth a few $1 million, you know, and the fact that you've taken heave, I've taken heave, his kids are worth millions of dollars. Just think his daughter made $1 million, or $500,000 last year because of COVID. You get what I'm saying? She had a COVID house, made $500,000.
Damn,
Can you imagine that?
that's crazy, bro.
And you know why? Because they had the property to do it.
Right.
You know, so it's just astounding, man, and that's why you don't say I'm just gonna grow 100 oranges. You know, you're more concerned with how many people take the orange as opposed to how many fruits you make. You know, so yeah, I'm definitely a descendant of his orange tree.
That's you're part of that, man. How did that mentorship come about, man?
Yeah, I about 2003, 2004, I trained his daughter. His daughter was an exceptional athlete. She holds records at University of Cal. She was a great hurdles runner.
Oh, wow.
And so I trained her in my training business. Remember, I told you I trained a lot of exceptional athletes.
Yeah.
And that's how we developed our relationship. You know, it was through a mutual friend, Mike. And when I moved to Los Angeles, because I lived in Whittier 14 years, I moved here, and you know, I had some cash, and he says, "Don't go to Vegas, buy property." I'm like,
Right.
"No, I want to go to Vegas. No, buy property. No, Vegas." And then so it was a process, and I bought my first property, and the rest is history, man. The rest is, it's, man, please, man, if man, take heed, man, like. Man, like honestly, think about this. You can honestly live a million man's lifestyle with an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's
that's real.
Extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month changes everything, dog. It's not like, man, I want the P. Diddy wealth. I want, man, I'm putting poison in our community. You know, from the music to the alcohol, man. Don't fall in line with that, man. Stay aligned with your purpose, you know. So it's in everyone to get an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month, man. And it's so easy. And if it's if you're wise enough to keep it off the books, oh man. You know what I mean? Legally though, not
legally, right.
Legally, you know, and it's powerful, man.
Beautiful, man. You it's funny. My show that just dropped today, the day we're recording, is called Chasing Paper versus Chasing Purpose. What does it really cost you? And so a lot of people are paper chasing, whereas you obviously even chasing that purpose. And I wanted to ask you, man, did you get, I'm not going to say forced into that, but was that something that you always had in mind?
Property?
Huh?
Property?
No, not property. I'm talking about chasing your purpose. Was that
I've always did that. Like, I've never not did it. You know, like my purpose was being a high school coach. I wanted to be a high school basketball coach, man, and inspire these kids, man. And I've always done it, man. I always know I can hustle and make $3,000 a month, man. Come on, man.
Doing something, right?
Yeah, man. Whether it's selling T-shirts on a corner or whether it's flipping, you know, whatever I know I can make $3,000 a month, dog. Like, you know, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
So I always had that in my here. You know, whenever I needed to go hustle,
right,
with nothing, I can make $3,000. I can borrow. I have a source where I can borrow $1,000 from,
right,
and turn that into $2,000. You get what I'm saying?
Yep, that's
so
it.
I never was concerned about failing, man. You know, and when you have an engine like mine, people, I mean, people are gonna hear it revving. You know, so people are going to give you the $1,000 and say, give it back to me when you can. Right. You know, they ain't going to say, man, I need that jump back in 30 days. But they know that I'm good for it, whether it takes a year to give it back or 6 months or even the next day. Right. You know, I've done it all. So I'm grateful to the people that actually bet on me, and it's too many to name. Right. You know, but one in particular I can think of. My mom was a single parent, man, and I was a senior in high school, and I was an under-recruited athlete. And that's because my conference was loaded with top guards, and I was a top guard. I was a very good basketball player in high school. And there was a black police officer, man. I need to get his name. And I went to a basketball camp, and I ended up getting recruited to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me $100 for me to go to that basketball camp.
That's what's up.
And that $100 got me into college. That coach saw me at that basketball camp. I got a basketball scholarship, and I ended up losing the basketball scholarship. But the fact that I was able to get into college, because if not, I would have been in the military or a police officer or something. I don't know. I knew I would have figured something out, but it wouldn't have been on the lines of with a degree. Right. And it just happened, you know, and I'm forever grateful for that police. I'll never forget that until I hope he's alive, man. He was about 40 in 1995. So maybe he's just retiring. You know what I mean? Maybe he's just retiring, but I can't wait to meet that man and re-meet him and let him know how grateful and thankful I am. A police officer, man, he loved me, man, because, you know, because the police do the security at the end of basketball games and stuff like that. So we grew an affinity for each other because he saw and they travel with the team and all that, you know, high school and stuff. So he grew affinity to me because I work hard, you know what I mean? And so it worked out. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that next month. I'm gonna see if I'm gonna find him.
That's powerful, man, because, you know, and I know you had spoke on that earlier, but you don't know how you affect people just doing these shows and these interviews. And I get people that like hit me up, man, that was right on time. And I know you get it and stuff. And so just being able to be there and help spark, you know, or, you know, people to do better and do more, man. You talked about, man, we got to do another show, bro. Okay. But you talked about basically giving life and death in the community. So with alcohol, you know, drugs, the mutant, all that type of stuff. We got to be conscious of what we put out there, especially like Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. It's the whole foundation is building an economic power base in the Black community by building and supporting Black-owned businesses. So I don't have this shirt on, but I got a shirt that said there's no revolution without economics. So we got to understand that we got to get this paper in order to be able to make changes. Now, you don't need paper to do everything, but in order to institute different things, you're going to need paper. You can inspire people just by your words. And I know today's conversation, I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of people, man, when this thing drops. And just looking from your trajectory and what you've accomplished and, you know, what you're going to accomplish, man. So I want to thank you. Before we close on out, Brother Fred, tell people how they can link up with you, watch your show, whatever, man. Give us your social media handles or whatever you need to.
Thank you, dog. Thank you, Jay. Silent Heroes on Instagram, SILENTHEROS. We gonna do that, and Barbershop Conversations on YouTube. So please hit me. Any questions, I can help, you know, more than willing to. 9 Wives is going to drop the first week of August. Cool. I can't wait for y'all to see this. This is it's no reason to reiterate how I how I had a cathartic experience on air. It's going to be on a website. Obviously, it's going to have something to do. Yeah, you're going to stream. It's going to cost $5.19. Damn. $5.19 is Malcolm X's birthday.
Right,
so,
right.
So it's going to cost $5.19, and I'm excited. So expect that the first week of August. I can't wait to come on my platform. We can exchange like that, and we'll just have a great time in powwow. You know, so
I appreciate you, man. Family, you know how we do it here at Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Anybody that we bring on the platform, go out, check out anything they're doing, support what they're doing, because you know I don't bring any nuts on here. Everybody that comes on here is vetted and they're doing positive things in the community. So do what we normally do, fam. Brother Fred, I want to thank you, man, for sharing your time, man. And I want to say this to the BEB family. We had a scheduling conflict. Brother said, I want to make sure that I honor my commitment to you. So we had to change the times around and all of that, but we finally got it in for today. And I appreciate that, man. And I appreciate you, brother.
No, that's love, man. I learned that from Malcolm. Malcolm X taught me that.
That's what's up.
Is
Yeah.
that honor your word. You know what I mean? And I will forever honor my word, man, on anything. 99.9% of the things
That
that
you
I
can,
do
right.
that
Yeah.
I can control. Like he's texting me now, I'm here. And I'm
Right.
like, I'm 15 minutes away. You gotta wait. But the point I'm making is I didn't know about this until like
Right.
this morning or today or
Gotcha.
yesterday or something like that. And I'm like, oh shit, I was hoping this was Tuesday. And it
Right.
wasn't. But at the end of the day, honor your word. And I thank you for offering your platform
Definitely, brother.
to me. And if I can do the same, please allow me to do it.
Oh,
And,
definitely, bro. You
and
know, I'm a big boxing fan, so we chop it
we're
up,
gonna
man.
rock out. Yeah, we're gonna rock out. We definitely rock out.
Man, that was an amazing interview with entrepreneur extraordinaire, Mr. Fred Hawthorne. Now, before I share my thoughts on the interview and some of my takeaways, let me share my resource links and social media contacts so you guys can connect with me outside of the podcast. Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, my new book is out, A New Black Wall Street, Circulating the Black Dollar Worldwide by Building Successful E-Commerce Businesses. You can go to anewblackwallstreet.com. Pick yourself up a copy, $14.95 for the print version, $9.95 for the digital version. Also, if you need additional assistance building your successful, sustainable e-commerce business, my new flagship program is out, Brand Builder Academy Elite. Go to bbaelite.com. It is a 15-week implementation program to help you build a successful and profitable physical products brand or digital products brand. bbaelite.com. Now, I also mentioned at the top of the show 2 platforms I've created to help circulate dollars in the worldwide black economy. The first one is besmartbyblack.com. So if you're a black product producer and you want to sell your products to black consumers worldwide, upload your product information. It is free. Go to besmartbyblack.com. I didn't forget about you freelancers. So if you do anything on Fiverr.com or freelancer.com, upload your information to hireblackfreelancers.com, HIRE, blackfreelancers.com. Once again, it is free and you can connect with black consumers and black businesses that want to hire black freelancers. Now, I also mentioned at the top of the show, my BEB Academy, all of my online programs, courses, trainings, and master classes and workshops are in BEB Academy, except Brand Builder Academy Elite. So go to bebacademy.com. You get 5 days free access. You have nothing to lose. Try before you buy. And we have content in there from beginners all the way to experienced entrepreneurs, e-commerce, marketing, how to set up your business. It's a plethora of information, so make sure you go there. Now, I know that's a lot, but you can go to bebconnect.com and it will have all the links because it's going to take you to a page on my website. Now, social media. If you guys want to connect with me, if it's anything long, hit me on my email, jjones@blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. JAYJONES at blackentrepreneurblueprint.com. Facebook, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Twitter, just go jjones001. Instagram, I have 2 IG accounts. The first one is jjones for real, JAYJONES, the number 4, REAL. And the second one is Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. YouTube, go to YouTube, type in Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Also, this video is being shown on YouTube. All of the podcasts come out on YouTube every Monday morning, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, along with being on all your major podcast platforms. So you can come and actually watch this interview as I did it with Fred live. If you're on Clubhouse, connect with me at IamJJones, at IamJJones. LinkedIn, please connect with me. Just search J Jones, Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. Once again, everything I just talked about, you can go to bebconnect.com and it will have all the links for everything I just talked about, social media and resource links. Now, let's talk about a few takeaways from today's interview before we close out. So there's several things that really stood out to me in this interview. Number one was Fred's tenacity and belief in himself. And so to be a successful entrepreneur, if you don't have that, you're not going to be successful. So that's mandatory. You have to have that in order to be successful. Even though Fred got laid off, became homeless, he still fought through everything to become a successful millionaire. That really stood out to me. Also, another thing Fred said was, I never deviated from the plan. I kept the main thing the main thing. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we're going to keep trying different things until something hits. And I get that. But what you really need to focus on is keeping the main thing the main thing. And once that main thing starts to generate revenues, then possibly you want to look out to create additional revenue streams. And the last takeaway I want to mention is when I asked Fred about living in your genius, what did that mean to him? What did that look like? And I thought it was so powerful because he has the ability to work on projects and things that are meaningful to him. You're not wasting time going to a 9-to-5 or doing something that really isn't fulfilling for you. And so I think that's so powerful. And I talk about it on the show all the time, guys. When you can get to that genius space where now you're working on things that you're designed to work on, that you were created to work on. That's the beauty of it. And he said that, he doesn't feel like he works at all because everything that he's doing, he loves what he's doing. Those are a few takeaways, guys, I want you to remember. And make sure if you need some notes and some links, make sure you get the show notes to this episode. So just go to bebconnect.com. And on the page, you'll see sign up for the show notes. The show notes come out twice a week, every Monday morning and every Thursday morning. So you'll have the BEB newsletter, and in the newsletter on those days, you will have the show notes. Before we close on out, guys, I say this each and every week. We get more and more downloads, and that's because of you, the BEB family. I couldn't do without you guys because I always say it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us, the community. It's about building an economic power base in the worldwide Black community so we can improve our condition worldwide. And please continue to spread the word about the podcast, the blog, and the movement. It's about getting this good word out there, family, so we can elevate our entrepreneur IQ and continue to build in the community. Love you guys. See you same time next week. Peace.